welcome to episode 519 of the God is a Geek podcast. My name is Adam Cook, and I am joined here by a very, very, very sexy-looking Chris Hyde. Hello, Chris.
Hello, mate. You don't normally emphasise the sexiness. I'm not too sure what I've done to deserve it today.
The hair just looks particularly...
Does it? I didn't know if I was because I was wearing a shirt, but
yes, that's
the man
what
you're
it is.
about to
We'll go with
introduce is wearing a shirt, but he's got more undone buttons than me, so I don't know if that's what I should be doing.
Why don't you introduce him for a change? Let's throw things around, be different.
Oh, God.
Wow, okay. Joining us today is the intolerable Lyle Carr.
That's me. Hello. I also definitely think that you should undo more buttons. We should be a podcast of much chest.
Oh
Look
my
at this.
God!
Oh, it's so sexy in here.
If that's not gift by the end of this day, I'll be really upset. That unbuttoning isn't. I got nothing to unbutton. I mean, I just have no one wants to see that. How's everyone? Everyone good? Everyone warm? Cold? What is it doing?
It's wet, isn't it? I've been out earlier and I got rained on. So
It's been warm as hell here. I think we had a bit of a random storm that lasted about 10 minutes, but otherwise it's summer here. It's become summer in the Midlands.
I mean, it was cold earlier. We had a bit of rain. You know, the sky turned red. Like you could almost say that it was like red.
The end of the world.
No, like red falling.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I really thought you'd have picked up on that and gone with it, and no one did.
I'm not clever enough for your punnage.
No, well, it wasn't really very good. Redfall's out.
Speaking of not really very good.
Yeah, speaking of not, Redfall's out. I suppose I can talk on this podcast with all the humble pie I've got jammed down my gullet right now. I don't know where to start.
I'm assuming this is game of the year material. The way we're talking from the preview.
I heard that this was the thing that might beat Tears of the Kingdom this year.
I don't think I ever said that. In fairness,
I heard Adam Cook say, "I know we're all thinking we should be most excited for Tears of the Kingdom, but just watch out for Redfall."
Yeah, I can't even joke. I can't even joke, right? Because I'm so disappointed. A little bit by myself, but mostly by the video game. Mostly by the studio, because I think Arcane, generally speaking, put out good games. I think mostly Bethesda, they can put out buggy games, but they put out generally good video games. Starting this off, the final version of it, it straight away occurred to me, this is odd because you're starting as kind of a normal person with no powers. As soon as you hit level, that first level up sort of thing, you get one power. Next level, you get the next power. The next level, you get the next power. And that's it. That's it. The rest of it's you can progress those powers a bit by skill trees. And a lot of what I said at preview is still true. You can spec towards sort of a more cooperative experience, or just if you're not going to play with people, you can. It's a bit mixed in that respect. But the thing is, when I played the preview build of it, I didn't know any of that because I didn't. A preview build is. Previews have changed a lot, and it's through COVID. Previews will always come to our office or an event. We're putting on a thing, and you get to play the bit of the game. So it was always kind of. I've never put the caveat. I mean, we say in a preview sense when we talk about it, but I've never put the caveat in a written preview because for me, the word preview is that caveat. It's whatever I've said here is based on what I've played and nothing more. Potentially there's some assumptions, and you can say that I think... And I actually still... The really bad thing is if what I played was the rest of this game, it would be one of those games. It would be nearly a Game of the Year contender. It's just got so many issues. The level I played... I've forgotten the name of this level, but that level's the best level I've played in the main game. It is the best level. And Chris White, in his review, called that out as well. Well, it's a shame, but it's... I'm not going to start throwing allegations around.
I'm being politically correct when I say
this is what I'm
shame.
trying to do that, but Chris White specifically called that level out as that's the best bit in the game, and they never do that again. And it's about... I mean, it is linear, but you can do side stuff. It's about, I reckon, 4-ish hours into the game. Which made sense, because at the time when I played it, I think I was a level 8, I think, at the preview. We didn't capture, I can't check that, but I think it was level 8, because there was quite a few skills you could just pop into the skill tree. It was ready to respec. And everything I said about that level still stands. But the trouble is the things I said, how there's no waypointing and how you have to kind of be a detective.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work for the rest of the game, because in that section, it's contained. You're in a house. When you are selecting a main mission, and then every time you go outside of your base, you have to bring up the map and put a waypoint on it just so you know where you're heading towards. It's not the same thing. Then that's what you have to do. Like, unless you know the map well, which you won't, because the thing is the way this game is, it's very fast paced. So you're just bombing it about the place. You're running about, and it's all nighttime, and then suddenly it isn't nighttime, and you know it's so weird like that you don't learn the map. So you have to stick a waypoint on manually. So it's suddenly you realise, actually, this isn't a clever thing. It feels like a clever thing in that mission because of the way the mission's styled. In the rest of the game, it actually feels like it's missing something. Like they forgot to add a waypoint system. And they forgot to do a lot. Like, I'm a bit surprised by some of the... Because one of the leads of this game has a just narrative background. We actually interviewed him many years ago, when he was about to put a book out. Like, he's an author. He writes books. And I'm just confused because, like, I don't know if it's going for a funny thing or not, but, like, when you get... So I was playing as Devinder, or Dev, as I like to call my boy, and when you get your first power, which is like you throw a spike and it electrifies things, it literally says, I'll paraphrase, but it basically says, this he made this, you know, he's like a weird entrepreneur and he builds things, and it never worked until he came to Redfall when it mysteriously started to work, and you're like, that's your reason for having essentially supernatural powers, is it, that it just happened to work here? You know?
He just has it, and that's fine, and they all just have it.
And they don't pay that off.
Well, I didn't see it. I haven't finished it.
Okay.
And I won't, if I'm honest with you.
No.
And that ain't on me. I've put 12 and a half, 13 hours in it, and I'm done. There's a second map you can get to, and even that, right? So you finish off, like, everyone's probably seen it, because the first area is like the Hollow Man is the boss, and that's not actually a bad set piece, but they overrun you too much with enemies. Like, it's not a difficult game, I don't think. You then go to the next area, and it tells you, to be fair, it does tell you, it says, like, you've got to, if you're going to progress to the next part of the map, or the next map, you can't come back. Why? Why can't I come back? There's still side stuff to do. What do you mean? Why can't I just go back to...
Well, surely there's a narrative reason for that, right?
No, so you go through this weird sort of supernaturally thing, and then you're just in, like, to all intents and purpose, I mean, I assume it's still Redfall, but it's just a different, larger part of Redfall. You just can't go back. And you just can't. And there's no... I mean, maybe Chris knows, because he's played more... Not you, Chris White.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a weird thing to do.
But, like... I get, because, like, listen, even games with fast travel have certain bits where you can't, and we'll come on to that in a minute, but, like, or even, like, times when it doesn't, you don't unlock it, I guess, for want of a better word, until later. It wants you to progress in it on its own terms for a bit, and then it enables it. But, like, how long? 12 hours? Like, how long have you got to play this game before you, like, it just feels to me like it's just seemed that decision just seemed, especially when there is side stuff, right? It's not just curiosity.
The trouble is the side stuff is, like, very, very... I don't mind side stuff not being, like, amazing. I don't mind that. I get it. There's curated content, and there's the content they put in to pad it, and I it's all right sometimes in some games. If the main story is, like, hugely compelling and the missions are extraordinary, you can be like, I don't mind that, you know, like, I've got to go and collect 100 feathers or whatever. You know, you don't have to. You can. If you're enjoying it that much, you probably will. I don't mind that. But, like, I really hate to say things like this, because it's sort of one of those things, once you say it, you can never walk back. But hey, I called it a Game of the Year contender, so I mean, I can't walk that back. I said that. I said what I said. I played what I played, and I felt what I felt. That's all I can say. I apologise if I sort of got anyone excited about it. I feel a bit fucking... I feel a bit duped, a little bit, like, because...
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's not like... This is the point, isn't it? As much as me and Lyle took the piss at the start, like, this is the really sad thing about it, because you... From what I'm hearing, and I've not played any of it, right? But it, like, I wanted to play it. Like I was really up for it. We were talking about this like off air about like a co-op game to we haven't really had one. We've been like Overwatch and that's it kind of thing. And we were like, so do you know what? Redfall could be the one that we all just piss about on together and it'd just be good fun. And like was really up for it. And now I'm really probably not going to bother playing it. And it's just
the thing I was going to say, and I like I say, once you say it, you can't walk it back. And I don't want to offend anyone because at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here. I've seen some of the stuff that's been said about the game, and I understand why it's been said. I'm not the guy to do that because I know that behind. I'm perhaps a bit too easy on people, but behind the people who developed this, that's the word, isn't it? People. I'm not going to like shit on people, but I am going to say I think it's a hugely disappointing game, and it's very, very confused. And I think the problem is it's not finished. Like it's strange to run up behind an enemy, do a melee attack, and there's no animation; they just flatten. and it acts like you've broken glass. That's supposed to be a stealth kill. This is an arcane game. You're supposed to be able to sneak around. The tool dev has he throws this translocator and he can get to it, but every time you do it, it seems to alert people. So it's like that's not stealthy. And also. Chris, when we played co-op, he's playing as Jacob Boyer, who's the sniper dude, and it blew my mind, and Chris's a bit, when he realised I had all those mechanics where I could throw a thing and teleport to it, and now he could teleport to it, because he's like, oh shit, now I can go on rooftops and snipe people, and you're like, nobody thought at any point that as a sniper-related character, as a person whose ultimate brings out a sniper rifle and lets you do like the kind of Ghost Recon multiple kill thing, nobody thought, maybe he should be the one who has the translocator, so he can get to those places. And also, like Layla's got the elevator that goes up, the spectral elevator I talked about. She has a traversal mechanic. The fact that the guy who's supposed to be kind of the stealthy one, because he's got another skill, Jacob, where he can go, he can cloak. But the fact he hasn't got any skills to be able to get into the top of a building to sneak down, or to be even in the co-op respect, you are relying, and maybe that's what they're thinking of. Maybe their plan was, well, we want this to be a co-op game, so you have to rely on Dev or Layla to get you onto that roof. And in that respect, I get it.
Solo.
Exactly. So it's like
not broken.
But it's a mess. It's a mess.
It's opportunity.
It's confused because what is it? You can't always be all things to all men.
No,
which is it here?
I know we talk about it so much, probably too much, but like Widowmaker and Overwatch, you can get to places that make it.
She has a
viable.
skill that gets her up. That's the whole point of her.
That's the whole point.
She also then has another skill that if you trip it, she knows you're near. Like the whole point of her is to be recon and stealth and snipe. Like that's a well-designed character. But it goes even further than that. So the vampires have health bars and everything, and you upgrade your health as you play, but they just seem to level with you permanently. But also they sometimes don't. So you'll just come up to some enemies and you one-shot them. You kill them one shot in the head. Or a vampire, you can do 2 shots to the stake. And then suddenly the next vampire down the road will be an absolute tank who oh my god, it's almost like he should have a skull saying he's so many levels above you, don't attack him. But you don't know until you've engaged.
It's not a different type of enemy.
It could even be the same skin. It could even be the same skin vampire. This is stuff that is... It's so confusing to me. And I don't know who the blame lies with, if I'm honest with you. I'm not going to go in on it any harder. I think I've said my point. I'm not, and I can't, like I say, I can't walk back what I said. I played what I played, and I felt really good about what I played. And I wasn't alone. Having a look around, a lot of the previews were...
That level is Game of the Year.
Well, maybe. You know what I mean?
I'm joking.
No, I know. I don't know who's to blame here. But it's really shaken my confidence in Xbox, if I'm honest, because this was supposed to be the game.
Arcane. That's what's so annoying about it.
Well, it's not Arcane that people think of when it comes to Dishonored, Deathloop. It's not that Arcane. It's Arcane. I think it's Arcane Leon, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they made Prey, which was a really good game, by the way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even know why I qualified it. I just don't... I say, this was supposed to be the thing that kicked off Xbox's kind of, and the games are finally here.
Yes. After nothing.
I don't know. And I saw that Phil Spencer's out there apologising. And that's his job in many ways, isn't it? In the same way that I've said I apologise if I got anyone hyped. That's my job to. You got to own your mistakes. But I don't. I feel like this is not the first time we've been here. Did he not do this for Halo as well?
He did it for Halo,
and I thought Halo was a terrific game, but I won't deny that there were problems with it. What's going on?
I don't. It's
Are they so are they so focused on like new controller skins, Game Pass editions from third parties? I mean, didn't he say the other day, like Phil Spencer said, like we're almost ready to put like a game out every 3 months or something? Like that's not what people want. Like, I think people would be happy if you put some games out on a schedule that didn't have to be 3 a month, but they have to be a level of quality.
Yeah.
Like, because Sony might do that, Nintendo might do that, but they're of a level of quality. And it is a case of maybe you don't like... I'm just trying to think of a game. Maybe you're not a big fan of God of War. Maybe it's just not your thing. But you won't be able to... You can't sit there and say it's poor quality, if that makes sense. Like, I could absolutely...
You don't begrudge Sony or the console that you bought because you don't like God of War.
Like, Lyle isn't a fan of racers. He wouldn't play probably Gran Turismo.
No,
but I bet you an hour watching someone else play it, or even playing it himself, he could appreciate that this is a quality video game.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. What this is, Redfall, is, unfortunately, it is not a quality video game. And I don't know. I just don't know who the fault... I don't know where the fault lies. I feel a bit duped. And to be honest with you, really disappointed because I really was looking forward to this. Really was.
It does. I do wonder, and I don't know, but like you said about it being unfinished, I just feel like this game, despite delays, is out too early.
Well, this is the thing. Like, the fact that nobody knew what it was for such a long time and there was so confusion. I thought that's why the preview was what it was. It weirded me out that it was such a short preview session. But I figured it was because there was so much confusion around the game that people just weren't quite sure what it was. And that was what it was for, to get people to understand what this game is. But, like, yeah, I mean, go read the review. That's all I can say, really. Like I say, I apologise again if I got anyone excited. I do feel pretty shitty about it. I like to think I get more right than I get wrong.
Well, on the plus side, it was on Game Pass, so you didn't really like cost anyone any money or anything.
Presumably so. I mean, the whole thing... We'll move on, but the whole thing of waiting until previews went up and then announcing it's going to be 30 FPS on Xbox was like... Because the thing is, it is not uncommon at all to go to a preview event and be playing on a PC build. It's not uncommon at all. It would be perhaps if it was a PS5 exclusive, but any other game it is pretty common because that is the easiest build for them to update, have ready, create a slice of, like changing a gold burnt disc or whatever. You know what I mean? It's generally speaking PC preview builds. So that didn't set any red flags, but doing that did.
Even that screamed to me, just delay it until you... Because if you're saying we're bringing a 60 FPS update and all that sort of stuff, like, just launch with it. Like, that did so much damage to people. The thing is...
What I would say, Chris, is that is actually the least of its problems, I think.
No, I know. This is what I mean. Like,
it's not...
But it put so many... People got all uppity about that.
Yeah.
Like, that even if these reviews were good, I still think it would be struggling. But then on the back of that, it's like... Oh, and also it's pretty shit. It's just like, it just screams to me of a game that has been forced out because it's so quiet, so barren for them. They've got to put something out because it's been about...
But if that's the case, that is super unfair on the developers. And it also goes against what Microsoft have said in that they've been quite hands-off, which I wondered if that was the problem, if they have not been like, this isn't good enough, this is you are first party. You know what I mean? I don't know. I really don't know. All I can say is, Chris, could you like cleanse my palate with Star Wars, because I know you're loving that, and I need to feel good about games for a minute.
Yeah. So So last week I wasn't on the pod, and there was obviously the chatter about Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and I've been playing a lot of this. Now, I will just say a little bit behind the curtain. People that don't know, we have mentioned it a lot in the past. We have a document that goes with each pod where we're almost professional with what we do, and we put the names of people who are going to talk about games after each game name, so we know who's talking and got to mentally prepare. And this one says that I'm going to be talking at this one, but I'm telling you now, I'm going to get Mr. Adam Cook after I finish my monologue to come in and eat some maybe a much smaller slice of humble pie.
Quite a small bit of the
smaller piece
pie, really.
Of humble pie. Because I listened to the podcast last week, and listen, this happens with games sometimes, but I obviously listened to you and Mick talking about it, and I know Mick does like it, and you like it but don't love it, or certainly last week, and I was sitting there going, and it was one of those ones, and this does happen sometimes. You go, am I playing the same game as other people? Because like some of the things that you guys were saying last week, I was like, that's the opposite of what I feel. So like I'm playing this game and I haven't finished it yet, but I'm a good I mean I've spent a lot of time on this game. You guys mentioned as a high point last week, the exploration. I might as well start there. Like this is a Chris Hyde game when it comes to like flipping exploration, right? Because I can't let anything go. And have to go and explore everywhere and that. So I'd have to check, probably about between 25 and 30 hours, I want to say. And I've not finished it. And I know the game, you can easily finish it in less than that. And I haven't, because I've just been wandering about. Probably in at least, you know how because it's a Metroidvania, you know how the best way of doing things is to get all the powers and then go and mop up at the end. That's the most efficient way of playing these games. But you know what I'm like? Oh, I've got a new power. Let's go and explore all the map to try and find where I can use those powers and just go and wander off here. I never went over here because it was locked off. Let's go and see what's over there, which is quite inefficient. But you said it last week, the exploration is so well done because it's very inviting. It is actually interesting because normally in these types of Metroidvania games, I can be quite particular about the design of the Metroidvania-ness of it. And this one is good in the sense that it does do some of the, gives you, teases a little bit of power stuff and then gives you the power and then you go, oh my God, okay, fine. But there is also quite a lot extra outside where you need to be, where you can use those powers, and lots of additional places to play. So I just spent so many. There's been nights I've messaged you, Adam, where I'm like, I didn't do anything story wise. Like I spent 4 hours with it, and I just pissed about with like just exploring and killing stuff, and just trying stuff out and just seeing stuff. But like, the exploration aside, because I know you guys love that, the bit that I disagree with you and Mick on is you guys said like last week, you're like, don't really feel like this like all-powerful Jedi very much. And I was like, that is exactly how I feel in this game. I don't think this, well, maybe it's just because we've been played flipping woe long this year, but I didn't find this game very difficult. I think there is things in this game that are very forgiving. And I felt, I think there's loads of things that it gives you, loads of tools it gives you to make you feel like an absolute badass in almost every situation. And even boss fights, they're interesting, but they're very rarely like brick walls. They're like, just like, I'll probably do it first time, but I'll probably use most of my health packs, but I'll still do it first time. And I'm playing on the like normal difficulty level, right? And that's just awesome. Like, that's how it should be with a Star Wars game. I think it should be like that. I don't think it should be a Dark Souls thing, and we'll talk about that mechanic in a minute, but I don't think this should be like a bang your head against a brick wall, figure out the intricacies to progress type thing. It should just be, fuck it, those stormtroopers are dying, those droids are getting smashed, and then we move on, because it's lightsabers and like things like that, and chopping heads off and chopping arms off. It's cathartic, almost that like Devil May Cry type stuff, rather than the other stuff. So I very strongly disagree with you and Mick about that, because I was like, I really feel like that. I'm there confusing stuff. I'm parrying beams back at droids. I'm like levitating stuff, and then I'm going in with my lightsaber, and I'm feeling like a badass. Yeah, occasionally I get hit, but more often than not, I'm parrying stuff, and can have encounters where I didn't get hit and it's fine. I took down 5 enemies, and I say that, and I'll try and avoid the hobbies because I'm bloody brilliant. No, I think the game's designed to do that, and I think it does give you a lot of tools and different options to kind of play about with to kind of do it. So I really like that about the game. I find it really, really Moorish. You said that word in our chat. I do find it really Moorish. I do want to say about the parrying as well, because I think in the difficulty settings, you choose difficulty setting at the start of the game, and it's like 5 or something, 5
There are
difficulty
5,
settings
yeah,
at the start, and it's like normal is like number 3, right, and then it goes like that. But what it does is it changes multiple things, whereas in most games it'll go, you'll take more damage and the enemy will take less, right? That's normally what happens with difficulty meters. There's also a parrying window stretch in the difficulties, and it shows you it in like meters, and so it actually means that if you put it on an easy difficulty setting, the parrying mechanic, which is actually it's not critical, but it will increase your enjoyment of the game if you can hit those parries.
I think it is critical. I think the parrying is very important. We're not Sekiro levels, but it is a very important mechanic.
What I mean is, it's not like, it's not Sekiro level or like...
It can be in some battles. If you start missing parries when you're swarmed a little bit, I think that's very...
yeah. I guess what I mean is it makes it easier if it becomes naturally, right? So but I guess the point I'm trying to make is I think more games...
absolutely.
Settings should absolutely have a parry that have parrying in them. I should just have a parry window thing.
I'd argue if you're making this kind of game, and FromSoft are never going to do it. So let's just say
no. But FromSoft never going to have difficulty.
Anybody else is making one of these kind of games. I would have a difficulty thing, but I would also maybe actually just be able to change the parry, have a slider for the parrying.
Maybe it's slider. Maybe you should be able to tailor it to your thing. Why not? Yeah, I mean, there are obviously with this there are 5 settings, but I guess if you're going to go that far, you could have a slider. But I really like that. I mean, I think the normal setting is quite
it's fine.
Again, that's me coming off of Wolong, so maybe I'm just kind of brainwashed at the moment. But I find that really it feels right. So but if people are struggling with it, to your point, Adam, you could just whack it down, and then you could.
And to be clear, that's what I did. I turned it down difficulty-wise, and I found it to be a more enjoyable game. I found it to be a fairer game, and it kind of removes is the wrong word. It dulls the soulsness of it, because the thing about what I don't want from this kind of game is repeatedly dying, repeatedly running back to get my souls back, which you do have to do if you die in this game, or you don't get to level up very quickly. And
although what I do like about it is it's light in that as well. Because it only goes to the way it works,
it takes away what you've gained in the current level.
Basically. Yeah, where it's not like all souls. Whereas in like a Souls game, if you hadn't leveled up,
you go to
zero. Later, sucker. Whereas this kind of bank effectively in a Souls game, it's banked the souls to get to the next level.
But you do level quite slowly, so it can be quite a big deal if you're halfway up a bar. You are going to want to go and get that back, I think.
My point is, I guess
it could be more
not
punishing.
As harsher loss.
I think the biggest thing for me is and I'm not going to change my mind on this no matter what anyone says, is I don't think it's a very precise combat game, and I understand if that's what people enjoy about it. I think for me, if you're going to make, I keep saying a Souls game, but I also really hate that genre description of Masocore. I hate that name as well.
I think it's a Souls game.
It's 100% a Souls game.
It resets.
Yes.
But I guess for me, there's more to a Souls game than just bonfires and souls. That for me isn't.
But then, you're unlocking shortcuts that wrap you back around the map. Each map is intricately designed to reward you for exploration with stuff. It does, like I say, constantly unlock shortcuts. It's kind of got all the tropes of a Souls game for me.
It has,
but it hasn't got the precise combat from a Souls. But for me, it makes up for the fact I don't mind. Because I've turned it down difficulty, I can walk through the combat, and the fun I have is when it stops being that, because it's just me exploring, because it's Respawn's movement. Ultimately, the double jumping, once you unlock further details, I'm not going to spoil, but once you get all these mechanics,
I
really like it.
I find it really interesting because, I obviously played a lot of this game, and... like I say, I don't get the Souls vibe from it in the sense of the way I feel about it when I'm playing that type of game, right? I'm not like, oh my God, another meditation point. Oh my God, thank God I've got to that next meditation point. This game throws shortcuts and a new meditation point at you every, not 5 minutes, because that's me going too far, but it's a very, I mean, if you wanted a, almost, I guess, introduction, baby's first Maso Core game or whatever,
Hello.
then this is absolutely it, because it literally
yeah.
it does have those things. You know, yes, technically enemies respawn when you go to a meditation point. Yes, there are shortcuts, but there's so many of them that you're never. It doesn't ever feel like I almost find like the shortcuts are more like they're not there because you will have exhausted all of your health stims by the time you get to this shortcut. That's not the
well, they are literally there so you can get back to a meditation point or bonfire.
Oh no,
if you
of course
die,
they are,
you can
but
get
they're
back
also
there quicker.
they're also there for the speed of the
That is-
exploration afterwards,
Yeah, that's
when
fair.
you've recovered more stuff. So it's linked into I think it's better linked into the Metroidvania than the whole Dark Souls stuff.
But then is the Dark Souls not a bit of that as well? Like these
course,
are
of course it is.
And this
But I
is
guess,
my problem
like,
with it,
like,
though, man.
I guess what I'm saying is like I don't like. I know you and Mick said last week like it doesn't need the Dark Souls bit, and I guess it doesn't. But I guess because but I find there's like the reason I don't think it needs it is because I'm never going backwards. Not never. That sounds really arrogant.
That's fine. No, but that's and I've said that to you that you're better at most of these kind of games than me, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not, and I was dying, and I was doing that thing like against a certain boss beginning with R, where I was just repeatedly going back and back, and I was like, "Why am I doing this? I don't have to do this. I'll come back later."
Listen, I did that. That's the only time in this game. It's an early optional legendary boss, for want of a to say it, Lyle. So that was the only time where I felt Dark Souls. I'm like, but that was because I was like, I know this is me not spotting your moves rather than anything else.
But that's exactly what I'm getting at. Like a Dark Souls game.
But my point is that's the only time I felt that way against a boss or legendary boss in this entire game.
Well, I can only say that you're better than me at this game, and that's fine. But I don't think you can telegraph moves easily like with a Souls game made by the best developers, which is actually I don't know why I said that. I love Respawn, but what I mean is like by a FromSoft Souls game, you can. It is about learning a boss's mechanics. It is about understanding the tells. It is about knowing how to avoid being hit by them and moving around them. I don't feel this game is precise enough to allow that, and I wish it would just pick a lane. Rather than trying to be a Metroidvania, a Devil May Cry, a Souls game, I wish it would just pick a lane, because I think it would be a 10 out of 10. Well, performance stuff. I'll be honest, the performance stuff isn't bothering me a huge amount. I get it. I'm not going to walk around it. It isn't good enough. But it's not bothering me because I'm having enough fun that it's like, I can put up with this.
This is it. Like,
it is
I
poor
wish
in
it was
places.
better, and I don't know how much of it's my PC because I'm on PC. And
I'm on PS5 though. So
I know. Yeah, 100%. I can't talk to that on a console, but like it doesn't break the game for me, but it's
still
be
fun.
Yeah. Yes,
and we are arguing over semantics in a way. Like I really like this game. I just don't think it's precise enough.
I think it's I disagree about the combat. There's no point in us going back.
No, I will never.
Incredibly engaging. And
I'm not saying. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying I think it's imprecise. And that is the criticism. Well, okay, that's fair enough. If you don't agree,
I mean, I don't. Sorry, okay.
It's quite scrappy in a way that
something like Dark Souls. Well, actually, Dark Souls is a bad example because that's clunky. But like, do I find?
But it's
I don't
clunky
find
with precision, isn't
missing
it?
hitboxes or things like that.
I find myself whiffing all over the shop.
No,
in this
I
game.
don't. Maybe it's the stance I use. I have to get up in their faces. I don't know, but like.
Yeah, I try to, but then they start like later on when they start throwing a lot more blaster enemies at you. Like most games do, at first it was like, oh, this thing's bad, and then all of a sudden later on you're like, oh, there's 4 of them,
Yeah.
But it's not a problem. But when they start throwing that and sort of those quick ninja ones at you,
yeah,
I just feel that at those points, what I feel is an imprecise combat lets it down a bit. That if I was playing on the recommended difficulty, I would be out.
Yeah,
I don't change difficulty often. I've done it because I like enough of what this game's doing to be like, I really want to see this through because I love how it feels when you're jumping around, and what some of the mid to late game powers you get, they do start to give you that kind of cool Jedi feeling.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
I find a lot of it is I find it really hard. Yeah,
I think there's quite a lot of like.
There's more of that than there is to combat, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I do kind of get what you mean about like the combat in the sense of I do. It gets a bit messy when you get surrounded or the camera angle gets a bit vertical and stuff. But that's true of a Souls game. Like that's still there. I don't know. I find it. I find it. I'm just really loving it. Like it's one of those things. We spoke about it before, right? It's one of those games. You know, it's a good one. You're enjoying it if you're waking up thinking about when you're next going to play it, and that's how I feel about this. And then, you know, that I'm glad I played it because I missed out on the first one. It's still on my.
That might be another reason why you're sort of feeling differently about it. I wonder.
And I know that I'm quite unique to that because I know a lot of people have played the first one, but it's still on my shelf and I haven't played it. I wish I had now.
I mean, I think you've done the right thing, jumping straight to this one. I really do. I think this is the far better game.
I think I love it. I think the set pieces. There's moments that have put on other documents, shall we say, for later in the year. It's just
I won't deny that.
It's a nice little package. The story's good. I like the characters. I love the exploration. I think it's really well done, and I'm loving playing it. It's really good. It's got me in the mood. It's got me in the mood. I love, you know what I mean? Games get you in the mood for other games. You know what I mean? Like it's not in the mood for that. We're not talking about virility again, but like, you know. It's one of those games that has got me in the mood for other games, which is good because there are some bangers coming soon, like absolute bangers. Well, I hope are bangers. I haven't played them, but you know, games I'm looking forward to.
That seems like a perfect time to do Lyle's Indie Corner. I think.
It should have its own jingle.
Blast through Lyle's Indie Corner. Play hand service to.
Go on then. How are you pronouncing this game?
Yeah.
Okay. Well. The first game I'll talk about this week is called OXTO, which is spelt OTXO, if you want to look for it online, because that's
Did you Google how to spell it? How to pronounce it, sorry.
I messaged the PR firm, and...
That's very professional of you.
And asked, is it OXTO like an ox, or is it ox like an oxtail soup?
Mm-hmm. And they said, it's OXTO, obviously, you idiot.
So does it not... Is it... We'll talk about the game, but it doesn't get mentioned in the game. Like
no, there's no voice acting type stuff happening. So but OXTO is essentially, you'll remember Hotline Miami. It was a really, really good game back in the day that lots of people loved. Sort of top down, brutal, like difficulty, killing lots of things. Quite a visceral game. Well, this is basically. What if Hotline...
Adam hates you for using that word, but carry on.
Well,
no, I don't mind that word.
Oh, I thought. Sorry, carry on. I thought Adam hated people using that word because he got overplayed.
No, not at all. No, I'm fine with it.
Well, there we go.
Great. I don't think people should use any word they want. This is the new me. I'm not going to have opinions on anything anymore. I'm just going to be like, you can do whatever you want all the time.
This bodes well for the future of the site. Carry on.
Yeah. So OXTO is sort of like, what if Hotline Miami was also a roguelike? So you do these runs again and get thrown into random environments with random enemies and do lots of shooting. Alongside that, the sort of one of the main mechanics that you'll use a lot is that you have, with one of the triggers, you hold it and you have like a slow motion focus thing. So if there's a room with loads of enemies, you'll go slow motion and you'll blast like one after another, and it'll feel amazing. But I think what's really clever is the powers are that, like, the different upgrades you get sort of by buying them at this shop partway through runs. They're all really different, like, and very unique. Like sometimes you'll get one where when you use the focus, there's a % chance that a like cowboy called the Wanderer will just like magically appear and just shoot the enemies with you, and that feels awesome. Sometimes you'll get one where it's like 25% of your bullets will home in on enemies, and as you can imagine, when you've got like a shotgun or a machine gun, that's quite a lot of bullets, really. And then alongside that, there's like awesome boss fights that happen partway through the run. They're not particularly varied. Like you see the same one. Like the first boss is always the first boss and doesn't change, and stuff like that. So there's a few things where it can maybe be a little bit repetitive. It's sort of enemy design as well. Like they're mainly people. There's a lot of people with guns, which you sort of deal with them in the same sort of way, but the combat itself's really satisfying and it's a hell of a lot of fun. I also don't think there's really that many games that sort of ape top-down shooting Hotline Miami type thing. Like, I guess it's a sort of almost a twin-stick shooter, but there's something very specific about that specific game, and this really captures it. And I love it. It's really, really good. There'll be a review on the site soon. Maybe even by the time this is up.
Maybe.
Yeah, but that's the first game in my indie corner.
Okay.
And my second game is Mia and the Dragon Princess, which is an FMV game, because I love FMV games. Thank you, Wales Interactive, for making so many FMV games.
Is it Wales Interactive?
You know it's Wales Interactive. Thanks, Wales Interactive. You satiate all my FMV needs.
Yeah.
So someone does, and I'm glad it's them. So
talk to me. I like a Wales Interactive FMV game, Lyle.
Yeah,
This has got an odd title.
It does. See, I feel like when you think of FMV games, they fall into a couple of categories. Like, a lot of them are sort of like a little bit horror themed, a little bit mystery themed. You're trying to solve something. There might be a bit of paranormal stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then alongside that, you've got the more sort of like maybe a bit more romancy, a bit silly FMV games. And this FMV game it's like a buddy action, if they were cops, it would be a buddy cop FMV game, but I guess we'll just call it buddy action. I think they call it something similar, but it's got like it's about this girl the Dragon Princess, who's like I think she's an Indonesian pirate from like hundreds of years ago who was frozen in a shipwreck and has
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is that what you're passing that off, are we?
Yeah, it's just
like the Redfall comment from earlier. She's just frozen in the shipwreck.
She's just frozen in the shipwreck. It's fine. So, for story reasons, she is thawed out of that. This is spoiler story reasons, and not that they don't tell you. But yeah, she's thawed out from that wreckage and finds herself in modern day London.
So she thinks it's the 1600s.
And can't understand anybody because in London everyone's just speaking English at her. And she has a weird wrist contraption that points her to some sort of treasure that may or may not be in London. And so she meets up with Mia from the title, and she's just like a waitress at a bar called the Smuggler's Den that's pirate themed, and they work together. Nice. They work together to solve this mystery of who she is, and it's absolutely batshit. It's completely batshit.
It sounds proper camp, but it doesn't care.
It is 100% proper camp, and it doesn't care. Like, there's out of nowhere, they're in the bar. They're in the Smuggler's Den bar. There is a spy who is currently injured from spy work, who's just playing an arcade game and gets really angry at it and shouts "bruised banana ballsack" at the arcade machine, because of course she does.
I mean, you throw me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
to be clear, not because women can't be spies, but because of the words that she used.
Yeah, because
that would,
yeah.
Fair enough.
And it's totally camp. Absolutely what I wanted. And alongside that, it has amazing like fight scenes, like really good, really entertaining fight scenes that are really well choreographed. And every time there's this big combat moment, you're glued to the screen. And then
FMV combat.
Yeah, well, you don't actually do anything. Like, all the interaction.
That's what I mean. Like, you're watching the combat.
Yeah, you're just watching a fight scene essentially. But you'll have like the only interaction you have is just like every so often there'll be two choices basically, and you'll pick one, and there's a good
punch in the face or kick in the.
Yeah, sure, stuff like that. And yeah, it's just like it's just so it's exactly what I wanted from a totally cheesy like. It takes about an hour to play through once, but there's loads of different like branching paths that you can go back to and check everything out. It's also really, really not afraid to have characters die. So expect a lot of murder.
I think of the name of the blooming game that I reviewed. That it's not the same, but it reminds me of. But I can't think of it.
Is it the bunker one?
It's the kind of almost like Hunger Games one.
I mean, they just put out like, was it 9 dates, or was it called?
10 dates. 10 dates. Yeah.
How did I get that wrong?
You're close.
Yeah, there was one a couple of years ago I reviewed that was like I'm going to remember the name of it. It's where they're on a desert island to win a load of money. I think it's like a Hunger Games type thing, and that was camp as all, because it's just nonsense and people die and stuff.
They must just be like permanently filming, because
they're just I swear. To be fair, there are. I mean, I don't know if it was in this game, but there definitely have been rotation actors and stuff.
Oh, there 100% are. I love when that happens. When you
Yeah.
see someone that you know from FMV games
Yeah.
alone. But then there also ends up being like people where you'll find out like that person was in someone in here was in Doctor Who and someone's been in Outlander, and it's like all these names, and you're like, okay, and now they're in this random FMV game, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to see how it plays and how batshit it gets.
Well, on that note, I have to press a button to do this.
Chris Hyde. Listen to correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde. Right. Do you know what? You know, I
Strange
thought,
intro, but go on.
Behind the curtain again, we have the doc, and it has all the questions, as well as the games. It has all the questions from the listener correspondence, so I can maintain 100% professionalism throughout this segment of the podcast. And if you've been listening for the past few weeks, you'll know that we'll have had mystery questions at the start of every listener correspondence, and there wasn't one this week, and I was a little bit like disappointed. And then, literally, as we've been talking, a question has appeared at the top of the document.
Last minute addition by email, I imagine,
from one Howell McDowell, who says, "Hi guys, first time question here, so go easy on me. I know you're often very suspicious of new listeners. First, I just wanted to check how Chris is doing after his diarrhea issues last week. Hope he's feeling better and hasn't ruined too much underwear. I wondered if he had any advice on the best foods to eat when suffering with a runny bum. He seems like something of an expert. Thanks for doing what you do, lads. Your content means the world to me." And then a nice little love heart. So, lots to unpick from Howell McDowell.
What a nice email.
It's a lovely email. I'm going to get quite angry now, because I got quite angry last week, if I'm being honest, because I was listening to the podcast, not live, because that's otherwise I would have been on it, but after the event, and there were a few things that were said. Firstly, that Lyle should have listener correspondence, which I took massive offence to. Then I took slightly less offence to the inference that I had the shits all of last week, and that was the reason I wasn't on the pod, which is factually incorrect. But obviously, for the purposes of my profession, I will answer the diarrhea question later. But then the thing that really, really pissed me off was the inference that me and Lyle were friends. That is factually incorrect. We fucking hate each other. Right? So let's just clear those three things up from last week. Okay. But back to Howell McDowell, who I'm sure is a lovely person, but again,
they're very real.
Their parents hate them with that kind of name. So they've said, right, am I doing much better after my diarrhea issues last week? Well, I'm about the same, because I have as much anal leakage this week as I factually did last week. So everything's fine. And I haven't ruined too much underwear this week because of that.
Just for other reasons.
Just for other reasons, yeah. I'll go
just
for
general excitement.
Yeah, yes, indeed. A pre-pod change. But they say, do wonder if I've got any advice on the best foods to eat when suffering with a runny bum. Now, there is a reason I don't want to answer this, because we're going to come on to it later with another question.
Yeah.
But like, all I would say is, when you've got diarrhea, the thing you've got to think of is you've got to go the opposite to how you're feeling, right? You're feeling moist, you've got to go dry, right? That's what you've got to do, right? So what I would say is, if you've got a runny bum, you've got to eat dry foods. That'll make you feel better. Bit of dry food, like, you know, bread or whatever, and that will sort it out. That's what I would suggest, and possibly, you know, tablets for your bum as well, but like not to stick up there. That's the last thing you need. They just come straight out, but you know, proper oral tablets for your diarrhea. But yeah, they obviously thank us for what we're doing. So hopefully there won't be a new listener for very long, and there'll be a regular listener very soon.
Regular, you say?
McDowell.
Very regular.
Yeah, very regular, yeah. and a growing Scottish contingent that we have listening to the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, McPoo asks, he says, "How do you like your eggs in the morning?" Which I imagine needs to be sung, but I'm not going to. And then he said, for me, substitute for toast for Chris, because hate eggs, and so it'd be a really boring answer. So Adam, how do you like your eggs in the morning?
Generally speaking, so.
Oh, for fuck's sake! At least answer with the song.
No way. I'm not. Well, I mean, I
generally
was
speaking,
going
quite
to
like
go
it.
that way. I was going to go that way. I was going to ruin it now. I was going to say on a naked woman, but like, with a kiss, fine. Poached. Although I like a fried egg. That's the question, right? Have I misunderstood it? You're looking at me like I've answered wrong.
I mean, I don't fucking know the world of eggs, mate. You do you. Like, I don't know what the
Poached
answer
or
is.
fried would be my preference. On toast.
Lyle?
Or bread, if you know.
I'd go for two entirely different options. I'd go for scrambled, or I'd go for an omelette. But
Oh, I wouldn't be against either.
yeah, I wouldn't be against yours. Eggs are great, as we all agree.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? Can I change my answer? Actually, how do you like your eggs in the morning? Not fast. Any way you want.
Just lots of them.
In the
Just
thanks.
lots of. Just lots of.
So mine is toast. So, and the reason I didn't want to answer the previous question from Helmut Dow is because the main answer I would have if I had a, anal fluid would be toast. I'd have toast. That's what I'd have. Dry toast. But how would I have my toast in the morning?
Presumably
this
served
is a
by your
weird one,
butler
right?
in a toast rack.
You know how some things
nothing.
just stick with you. Like someone says something, and it's just one of those things that sticks with you for your entire life.
Can I just before you carry on?
Yeah.
When this isn't going to be another weird bread thing, is it?
No.
I'm not. I can't this week. I just can't.
No. It's not a weird like me. It's something
Okay,
from
no,
someone else that's always stuck with me.
Just
when
wanted
it
to be
comes
absolutely
toast.
sure.
Yeah. I'm not going to eat it in a weird way. Well, it depends.
No, you said it. You said it. You said what you said.
So, yeah. So how stuff sometimes sticks with you, and normally it's from it's wise words from your parents or something, and that's the kind of thing that sticks with you or whatever. This thing that sticks with me. I don't know whether it's particularly wise, but it's always stuck with me without fail.
This better be going somewhere good. Is all I'm saying.
Even when I'm making toast for Matilda, my daughter, or just for myself, whenever I am spreading under the butter on the toast, this always goes to mind, and this is wrong. But those, I don't give a shit. You're gonna have criticise Mr. Correspondence. You're gonna get a fucking glass that's like any old way eggs, right? So what you might not, but on social media sometimes you get those pictures that say like which toast are you?
Right, okay.
And a letter that's however burn or not.
Yeah,
burn.
the thing's designed to get your security numbers and stuff. Yeah, your pins.
Yeah, so it's like 1 to 6 or whatever, and it's like from bread to ash. And like the thing that I will always remember when it comes to toast is one Mick Fraser's response to this answer, and he actually I think chose like number 5 out of 6, so pretty burnt, right?
Yes.
Not burnt, but like pretty. And he just said, whenever you have butter on toast, it's always got to look like an Alsatian's arsehole. And no word of a lie, whenever I am buttering toast, I always think of Mick Fraser talking about Alsatian's arseholes. And I do agree with him. I do like the toast slightly more well done. Not so that it's proper burnt, but like...
I just want to interject and say sorry. If I'd known this was where it was going, I'd have stopped him a lot earlier. I've as a child, I had 2 Alsatians, and I couldn't tell you what an Alsatian's arsehole looks like.
I mean, I would be keen to know why Mick knows, but I can't argue with the description. So, I would say, how do I like my toast in the morning? Like an Alsatian's arsehole.
Which wouldn't have been quite as catchy a song. Wouldn't have been quite as catchy a song.
No, but thank you, Mick Fraser, for that answer, because it's the best answer I've ever heard, and it sticks with me every single time I make a piece of toast.
How good again. I'll also make a quick addendum to that, though, just to say that we generally call them German Shepherds nowadays, because the Alsatian is the name that we sort of gave them when we didn't like the Germans. And I think that the phrase German Shepherd is totally fine to use, and probably always was.
Just so
what I would say is, I've picked that language up purely from Mick Fraser.
Of course you have.
And so therefore,
and others.
If any of that language is unacceptable, it's because of him.
Okay. Obviously. And I thought that too. I immediately thought, no, Mick Fraser will have specifically
chosen those words.
I thought of a joke then that I think would have been tremendously funny, but I don't know if it's inappropriate or not, so I'm going to have to not say it, because it might. I don't know.
But just know you could have got that.
You could have. But I'll have to research. I thought it was funny. Just know that.
Good.
Okay. Joke you didn't tell us was funny.
I thought it was
Good.
pretty funny.
Moving on. Right.
Yeah.
This is a great question. If you had to pick a game to be your specialist subject on Mastermind, what would it be?
I find this quite difficult.
I had to think a long time for this.
Super
I
Mario
read
World.
it earlier and I was like, I'm glad I did, because if I'd be on the spot, I'd be like, I don't know.
No, because I think if I pick Super Mario World, I think there'd be questions like, in this world, what is the name of this level? And it's like, no way.
Oh, well, you see, I think I'd be pretty good at that. One of mine was Super Mario World. That was one of my choices. I have two.
I don't think I'd be good at any.
That's a good answer.
I'm worse than a goldfish when it comes to memory these days. Like, I don't think there's anything I could. I'm pretty good when we have House of Games on. If we're having it during dinner, I tend to get everything right. That's general knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Specialist stuff now, which is pretty bad.
What was that joke from 30 seconds ago? Can you remember that?
Yeah, I can remember that.
All right.
It was about Inuits, so like
Okay.
it's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
I'll leave it.
Great.
I don't know. I
How do
don't
they
know.
How do Inuits like their toast?
No, that was the. It doesn't matter. Moving back
It
to.
doesn't matter, is the answer.
Stop trying to get me in trouble.
Cancelled.
I thought you said cancelled, which would have been.
Oh, blimey. Oh, come on.
Don't do that to him.
What would you? Yeah, not. A, no.
So
What would your game be?
mine would be Link to the Past. I know where everything is in that game.
Is that the one with
Right.
the bird and the egg?
What? No.
No, that's the Game
that's
Boy one.
Link's
What's the Game Boy
Awakening.
one? That
Oh,
one
Link's
probably
Awakening.
then. That one probably.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I could probably play that blindfolded.
But Super Mario World, I'd probably have a fair stab.
No, I think they'd start saying like, in this world, what's the name of level number 3 on the right hand side? And I'd be like, not a chance. Don't know any of the names of levels. I know what Yoshi is.
I hope that's a question. Come on.
And I could get to that secret area.
Great.
I could get that secret area and get all those extra lives
Yeah.
He's got it.
in the
I
ghost
know
house.
how
up
to
top.
get to Star Road, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Oh, blue Yoshi on Star Road. Game of
That's all we
forever.
need.
Have you got one, Lyle?
Yeah, I do. I'm going with. I use this answer quite a lot on for various things, but I'm going to go for the Nintendo 64 game Snowboard Kids because
Do you know what? I should have probably been able to predict that. The amount of time you spent on that game.
yeah. So I've played a lot of Snowboard Kids. It's basically a snowboarding cross kart racer, and it has like 9 tracks and 6 characters. So like I'm kind of figuring that if we're going for like it's the specialist subject thing, there's not like that many variations. And I assume I'd know going in that I was doing this quiz, so I'd like play it for an hour.
What about Pound? That's only 2 hours long.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. That's got quite a lot of endings though, and a lot of
okay.
dialogue. I
Yeah,
feel like
okay.
you could kind of mess that up. Whereas
Yeah.
a kart racer with like 9 tracks and 6 characters and like 10 weapons or something, like you could figure all that out. It wouldn't take too long.
Yeah. No, fair. There you go.
Okie dokie. And I'm going to butcher this name, but are any of you
Ow.
tempted by... Well, I don't know. Is it ROG or is it ROG? That's more the point.
Well,
But-
ROG means Republic of Gamers. So it's ROG.
Yeah, okay, fine. I suppose you could use either's. But anyway, any of you tempted by the Asus ROG Ally?
Tempted by in the I want one, yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
want one of everything.
Well, no, because I actually think... Well, I don't know. Because hopefully we'll get to review it and I'll be able to answer my own question, which is, can it actually deliver what I have seen in a preview sense? If it can...
Because you've been burnt before.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. It's
Mate, I've got one episode, so
yeah.
I'm going to go for
No,
it.
go for it. Fill your boots. If it can deliver on what they say it can, I'd love one. But we'll find out the price as well before that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer for me would be quite sort of in the similar sort of vein.
Yeah.
Of like, if one dropped in my lap, I'd be really excited. But there's not a chance outside of that it'll happen, probably.
It's just as much as I love the Steam Deck, and I do think it's such a cool machine, and Lyle, I know you feel the same, and we've talked a lot about it. You've reviewed a lot of games in it. There's one right there.
There it is.
Even as someone who knows computers, like I built the computer I'm using for this very podcast stream or video that you're watching or audio, however, it's all done on that. I built this PC, and right, just leave it.
I did it.
Recognize.
Just recognise that I did a really simple thing and built my own computer. even as someone who's done that and troubleshooted numerous things when it comes to sort of computers, I'm not like, coding. I don't know anything coding-wise. I can build a PC. I can do that sort of stuff. I built this PC, lads. I just want to be really clear.
Yep.
It is a faff getting anything that isn't Steam working easily and efficiently and repeatedly on the Steam Deck. And if the ROG Ally can genuinely run games as well as the Steam Deck, but it's Windows-based, meaning you can just play Game Pass games, you can just play Epic games, you can just play Steam games, you play the EA app. If you can just do all of that, no, I know. But if you can just do all that, and the crucial thing is they run as well as the deck, that's pretty cool. That is what makes it a very interesting thing.
Then the price as well. If all those sweet spots get hit, you're like, oh.
I will also say is what it never occurred to me until they showed it, is that I've reviewed an Asus laptop which has the external GPU thing. Okay, the one I reviewed I'm reviewing a laptop at the moment, and when you have a laptop running at 4K or whatever, it does kick out some fan noise. Stick your headphones on, the fan noise is gone. Lyle, you probably know this as well. The odd thing is this one I've got doesn't. That's not neither here nor there. But the external GPU thing that I had with this what was it? The Flip. I can't remember what it's called. Flow. The ROG Flow. It was called. And this laptop was cool. Like you could fold it in half the wrong way around and make it into like a tablet. It was all touch screen, so it was kind of everything. And you could play games on it. But if you wanted to, you just plug this external GPU, which is plugged into your wall. It's got all the ports on it, HDMI, USB. It becomes essentially a superpower computer because in there is like, well, at the time, I think it was a 3080 card. I think you'll be able to get 4080s and more. So you'll be able to turn, and don't get me wrong, it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be suddenly cheaper. It's like you are spending. But what you have then got is a really powerful portable gaming device and one you can then plug in and use as a really powerful PC, in theory. And it never occurred to me that because it's Asus, because it's ROG, they've got all of this already. They've already got all these accessories because ROG is not a new brand. Steam is not a new brand, but Steam doing hardware is a new thing. Like this machine. They've done. There have been Steam-based. I reviewed an Alienware one years ago that was like a little set-top box. And again, it wasn't. It was before Steam had their. It was big picture mode, but it was like a variation. Whereas this Steam Deck is like it's got its own operating system custom for that thing. Games run custom operating systems on this. If this can do everything they say with all what they've already got, the ROG sort of setup behind it all, it'll be an incredibly cool device. But I don't know. But yes, tempted, pending actually, looking at it myself. Yeah, but I won't be able to afford one. I don't care how much it is. It could be 50 quid and I wouldn't be able to afford it. But you know what I mean? That's not the question, is it? Yeah. But yeah. You haven't said nothing. You're not fast, are you?
It's not. No. If I'm honest, I have too many ways to play games at the moment. I don't. My Xbox, given what we've just been talking about, has been bloody used for ages. Like I
play Redfall, mate. What's wrong with you?
I'm playing Jedi.
Oh yeah, a good game.
And I'm not. I was getting something really inappropriate then, and
all that stuff I said earlier, basically.
Yeah, just there are better games I haven't played or finished. But no, so I just I like the idea of a Steam Deck and stuff, but not enough for me to go like I want it. Like you say, like Lyle said, if one fell on my lap, I'm not going to took it a bit ago. That's not going to get used. I probably would use it, but would I spend the amounts it's going to cost to buy it? No, probably not. For me right now.
Okay.
Right, so Mick sent in some questions for each of us as per
come on, then. Give me first. Quick fire. Come on, hit me, Chris.
I was just going to say he'd done some super chats, so I was going to say thank you for that. But no, just fuck people who give us money, like the matter.
They'd have to give us more money for me to do that, mate.
There we go.
A lot more.
Okay, quick fire then. Adam, how is the DualSense Edge holding up for you today?
Oh shit, no, I haven't got it next to me. Great. I still wish the battery was longer. It is one of those. It's a session and a half, whereas perhaps the PS5 main controller is 2 sessions, maybe. It's not like it's massively a problem, and I just tend to stick it on charge when I finish a session. So
same.
But I kind of wish I didn't have to. Like We all want the Switch Pro controller, battery
We
and L
do,
controllers, don't we? Because that thing is like, I don't know what that magic is in that. Sometimes I charge it just because I'm like, well, it's got to be running out soon.
Yeah, it's going to surprise
It never
me. Yeah.
seems to. It just never seems to run out. Like, no, it's great. It's a great controller. It's still my favorite controller. So,
What fighting game series currently on hiatus would you like to see return?
Mortal Kombat probably, because they are making one, I suspect, and they'll announce it.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
But I don't know that I don't play fighters like I used to. Like I kind of have to stick to one now. Like we didn't talk about it this week, but Sean and I went and previewed Street Fighter 6 again, like the sort of more fuller build of it, and like nothing. That game I played a lot more of, by the way. So I feel a bit more confident in going like that is going to be. It's not one of those. I can't say it'll be a Game of the Year contender because it's a fighting game. It means you either like them or you don't. And if you don't,
yeah, it's a bit like GT7 and stuff. That kind of conversation, isn't it?
It's a thing. Like, but what they are doing, that is like,
I am
insert that into my veins, man.
Interested, not just because it feels like it's Street Fighter 4 but better, like Return to Form, but the other stuff sounds really cool. Like, so I'm.
I mean, I literally have nothing bad to say about what I've played of that so far. Nothing at all. No concerns. Nothing. So we'll see come review time. But I suppose Mortal Kombat, just because there's another question coming up that's fighting game related. I'm going to be disappointing in again. So go on. I've got to ask that, and I'll disappoint people with that too.
What are your thoughts on Tekken 8 so far?
I really haven't been paying attention. I've seen that they keep releasing videos on like these fighters, this fighter, that fighter.
Yeah, that's literally all I've really seen.
But Tekken 7 didn't quite do it for me the way it did for a lot of people. And having played Street Fighter 6, it's going to have to be very special. But I don't really have too many thoughts on it. I don't doubt it'll be fantastic. But Tekken 7 just didn't hit me the way it did everyone else. Like everyone else was like, "Oh my god, 9 out of 10."
Yeah.
It was really good, but it just didn't. It just felt like Tekken.
Which I guess for some people was great. Like, do you know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Absolutely,
and that's not. I didn't mean that to sound like a negative
at
all.
No.
It looks great. I'll play it. But it's a bit like Street Fighter 6. I'm hyped for because 5 was poor.
Yes. No. Same.
I can't say that for Tekken. So more Tekken is a bit like, yeah, cool. Let's play more Tekken.
But it's not hype, is it? It's not.
No, because 7 wasn't bad, whereas 6 is exciting because 5 was bad in Street Fighter. Well, yeah. I don't know. I'll play it. I don't know what It's
yeah. This is an interesting one. What's the worst drink and meal you've had in the last 5 years? Not 6, 5.
If it's in that 6th year, you disregard that meal.
Yes, exactly. Doesn't
count. Before I answer, could either of you answer this?
I don't have a fucking clue.
That's what I was saying. I can't think of bad meal.
I have mine actually.
I mean, I don't track meals that much.
Can one of you answer them, because I can't think of a really bad meal that stands out.
I'll do mine then. From a HelloFresh box, which are like meal kits that come through the door.
Really? This is weird. Start. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, well,
and this week's sponsor for the podcast is...
I know, I was a bit annoyed actually. I was about to say they're not sponsored. Aha! But I got a meal from them that was like a salad meal, and you sort of pick. So I picked it, and it was a salad meal that had celeriac, so the celery root thing, and I didn't know how much I would dislike that as a thing. But I thought it was quite disgusting. So I don't like. I found out from that meal that there's a food I don't like, and that doesn't happen very often. No. So that meal's probably like the worst meal I've had in quite a long time. I like most meals.
I was wondering how a HelloFresh meal that you've selected with fresh ingredients is going to be rank. I was like, what? Where's this going? But okay, yeah. I would struggle with this. Like I say,
I can't answer it.
Like I said before, morbidly obese, low self-esteem, very low quality threshold for what goes in my mouth. So it's difficult to then critique afterwards. But I would. I don't know. I'm sure I've had like a bad like takeaway versus other ones, and that's disappointed me. Like that's probably, like we don't tend to cook meals in the house where I'm like that I actively don't like. There's been a couple maybe where we've tried something and it's like we're never fucking having that again. But I can't remember what it was because we only had it once.
That's why I remember mine, just because I would normally have the exact same response of I don't fucking know, I like everything.
Yeah.
So that was quite a easy pick. But
I am pleased that Adam's knee-jerk answer wasn't the meal I had out with Chris,
No,
where he
really
ate
nice.
Christmas pizza first.
Oh, that one. No, that was really nice. No, I wouldn't say things like that. Yeah, I've got no answer. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do mine?
Sure. Mick says, I'm 18 hours into the Future Redeemed DLC of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. As of this message, it is peak fiction. If it delivers at the end, I'd consider it as good as Octopath Traveler 2. That's not the question. The question is, have you tried it yet?
No, because I've been balls deep in Jedi. But I mean, that's an Adam Cook style level of statement there. That's an Adam Cook Redfall statement. No, seriously though, if he's saying that it's up there with like Octopath, and all of a sudden, like we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? When I was on the pod, and I was like, I really need to play this, and now I'm just like, shit, I think I really need to play this. Like that's that. Like it's good, and it's got the characters I give a shit about. That oh god.
Yeah, he seems very, very like high on it. He's told me how good it is.
You're 18 hours. I know you can't. You might not be on now, but like I'd be keen to know how long it is when you finished it. Because if you're only 18 hours in, I mean, we knew it's going to be a meaty DLC, but I'm worried about when I'm going to find time.
16 of that are trying to get the photo mode to get certain angles, though. I suspect.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Right, this is an easy one. It can be answered very simply: dark chocolate with caramel.
Yeah.
Or banana with salted caramel for dessert.
I mean, it's a weird question because I've never seen either of these things offered to me just on their own as dessert. I would say if I had to pick purely because that question's being asked, it would be dark chocolate with caramel. But I like banana and salted caramel as well. But if I wouldn't just have a banana with salted caramel for dessert, so I think I'd choose that one. But I like all those things, and if you made a nice dessert with all of them, I'd fucking love it. Like I don't hate any of those things.
Okay. This next question is also very, very easy. I think.
Yes.
Are you reviewing Dark Pictures on Switch? Can you compare it to the Series S version?
No, and no, I can't because I have never played the Series S. So no, and no. They're quite simply, yeah.
Do you know what? I think he's given you a few easy home runners here. Like, this is another easy question. Will you be buying Tears of the Kingdom?
Would they be difficult?
I don't know. Will you be buying Tears of the Kingdom day one, or do you already have it preloaded?
I have it pre-ordered, so it'll be on day one. Like essentially buying it. It's already bought. It's arriving on the day, counting down the days till I'll be happy.
Close.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Happy Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, back to you then for Lyle's question.
Right, yeah. So Lyle, your question. Oh, Jesus Christ. Is Breath of the Wild worse than Pokemon Violet?
I haven't played Pokemon Violet, so I really can't answer this question. It would depend on if Pokemon Violet was lower than a 6.5 in my estimation. But yeah, I haven't played Pokemon Violet. It didn't seem like it did that well, and people didn't really think much of it because of a lot of performance issues, and I think other issues, and so I avoided it. And now it's a new year, and you just play cassette beasts.
Nice. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, can this be a quick? What does Tears of the Kingdom need to do to make you like it more than Breath of the Wild? Which actually, this is the thing. For me and you, Adam, that's quite like a weird question. It's like such a high benchmark. Like, what does it need to do to be the best of the best? What does it need to do to get a 7, Lyle?
Yeah, just like have meatier dungeons because I like dungeons a lot. So that I mean that
I would
alone
like
would
to
make
just
it probably
interject at this point and just say poker faces. Go, carry on, Lyle.
Okay, I mean I'll just say that. I mean there's probably a lot of things I'm excited about. A lot of the things they've shown off really because I am a big Zelda fan. I always say this. The reason I was so disappointed in Breath of the Wild is because I fucking love Zelda, and a lot of the things they've shown off seem really cool. I like the the weapon fusing stuff. I like Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, so I think making vehicles looks fun. I mean, there's a lot of these things. I think it's probably quite likely, based on what I've seen on, from the videos that Nintendo have released, the different trailers and whatnot, that I will probably like it more than Breath of the Wild. I don't know how much, because again, These things could mean I think it's like a 7.5, but that will probably be low for most people.
It feels like the podcast to do it and just make bold claims and statements. So I'm going to say one, and I will say, I think you will. Because I know why you don't like it, and from what I've seen in those trailers.
Yeah, totally.
I think you will, because I think. Well,
it'd be like, is it Scrooge the film where it's like, and his cold, cold heart melted away, and all of a sudden, because yeah.
I think you will. I'll make the bold claim. I think you'll think this is better than a 6.5. I haven't played it, don't know, but I think, from what I've seen, I think that they have done things to address some of the concerns. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah.
Any other concerns, you can stick up your ass. Right, next question. Have you ever played an old school shoot 'em up or bullet hell game?
Yes.
Cool. If you haven't, there's a nice game called Drainus that is up your alley. Which I hope's not a euphemism.
Okay.
Hope you try it after my trustworthy recommendations, which I presume means pound.
Yeah, he definitely means pound. He did another recommendation at some point. He kept shoving in my face, but I can't remember what that was.
Shoving it up your alley.
Up my alley.
Shoving Drainus.
Drainus.
Sorry, no one's going to mention this. No one's going to point that out. It has to be me. That is Drainus.
Yeah, it
does. Like, you know, sometimes, because obviously we get offered like code for a lot of games, and we go,
wonder where you were going with that
name. Drainus is a great name.
It is a great name, and it sounds inappropriate without really being very specific how it's inappropriate.
Yeah. It's one of those names that is, it's only inappropriate if you are inappropriate yourself, and therefore it can be free from its own inappropriateness. It's all on us.
Yeah,
Drainus.
It's our fault.
Right, stick it right up your Drainus.
Up the Drainus.
You see, you don't need to say that. You already said it's up your alley.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He does. Sure, sounds good. Stop doing this and trying to make me play more games. Even when they're good, it's annoying, because then it annoys me that you were right. Sorry, keep writing us questions, and you're a great friend.
Oh dear.
Favorite flavor of peanuts and crisps? I can only assume by the grammar used here that it's a combination of peanuts and crisps together, and therefore you have to pick a flavor as we all eat peanuts and crisps together at the same time. Now, what is your favorite flavor when you eat peanuts and crisps?
Well, that's a weird one, because oddly enough, I've never bought a bag that has mixed peanuts and crisps in it. I suppose you could kind of argue Bombay Mix has peanuts in and so I guess my favorite flavor of anything I've had that's combined those things is the sort of curry flavor that a Bombay Mix provides to that combination. Yes.
Okay. I love being arsey. Are you going to play the Etrian Odyssey game next month?
I kind of think I am, because I think it would be me who would do that. I'm not that excited about it because it's a bundle of loads of them. They're really long. I've played
really old.
I've played a couple of them before, bounced off some of the earlier ones, got into some of the later ones, and it just seems like it's going to be a fucking ordeal to play that many games and that many hours of games. And I would say in general as well, I do a lot of the big RPGs. That's a thing I do quite regularly. And I'd say that as a rule, dungeon crawlers are probably one of my lowest sort of like my least favorites of that genre, my least favorite subgenre, which is what an Etrian Odyssey is. So yes, and I'm not looking forward to it.
So basically what you're saying is probably not, but I don't want to shit on them.
Well, I don't know, because maybe it kind of feels
you're
like
gonna be
you're
going to be Tears of the Kingdom for the next 2 months.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the site?
Well, no RPGs or like cock and boob games are getting reviewed for the next 2 months.
Okay, well, more FMV games. If Wales Interactive can keep it up, I'll review them.
Yeah. Okay, we just had one question from the live chat from Martin Baker, because we haven't spoken about it enough. That just says, are there still performance issues with Redfall and PC? Have they patched it by now?
That's
a heart.
It's like a heart. Look.
No, I know Martin. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and I haven't heard from him in a while.
Hi, Martin.
Hi, Martin.
You don't know him, do you?
I'm not allowed to say hello to people I don't know.
Don't over-egg it.
Oh,
Hi, Martin.
Lads,
Fucking
just be cool.
Should I put my? Should I do my top?
Oh yeah,
No,
get
if
get 'em
anything,
out.
another one down. Yeah,
Another one?
Yeah,
Oh, is
if
he worth
anything,
it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll put you full screen if you want to do it, but like it's like yeah.
I'll just give him a bit. Gonna get a nipple? No. Right.
What was the question?
Sorry, Martin.
It's are there still performance issues with Redfall on PC, or have they patched it by now?
So they patched it. It's really weird. The preview I played on PC, but again, it was that one level,
good.
and it was really, really fine. I didn't know there was any issues with it. There was a patch right before the review embargo dropped, and I know that because it annoyed everyone because the game's always online and they turned the servers off. So it was like it was really tight timing as well. It was one of those where we weren't even going to have a review up on the day. And Chris just wrote it, so he played enough of it and he wrote it. It was zero pressure. Like he was like, look, if it's going to be a later code, I don't even said to the PR, don't expect it, that day, sort of thing. And he just wrote it. So I know there was a patch on Xbox, so I assume they would have patched because it's Play Anywhere. So I don't really know how it works now in that respect. Like, I mean, there are different builds of the game, but you would assume that given that it's Play Anywhere, there would be some sort of parity on the SKUs. I don't think there's been a patch since then. I mean, if you've got Game Pass and you want to have a go at it, I'd say PC is definitely the way to play. But I can't speak with any confidence because I haven't played the retail. I actually meant to download it, the Windows Store version, just to see. And honestly, like you said about not Zelda, about Jedi, I was like playing Jedi and I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to download another 70 gig, and I'm done. I was done with it, so I'm afraid I can't really be very helpful there. Sorry. Nonetheless, I can't seem to do that. Yeah,
really, he got his money worth from the question, didn't he? He had a good time.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Is that all of it for listener correspondence?
That is I think so. I'm just going to scroll down the doc really professionally. Yes, that is the end. Play the jingle. Chris Hyde, listener correspondence. It's time. It's time. Chris Hyde.
And that is it for this episode of the podcast. That's 519 in the books. They seem to be getting longer. We're doing more non-game content, I think, than we are, which is a good time to perhaps say that there is a Patreon exclusive podcast due very soon called The Chopping Board, and there is a teaser on our Patreon, a little teaser. That should be going up quite soon, the first episode of that, with a bit of luck. We have shelved, we mentioned about the retro pod, and just to keep us honest, I don't forget that we mentioned that on the pod. We've changed that, basically, because it seemed as though people wanted us to talk about food. So we decided, let's talk about food.
And Nintendo screwed over our first game by releasing
they did.
Remastered.
Fuckers.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, like literally, we were planning to do a retrocast on Metroid Prime, and they re-released Metroid Prime. And then people were talking about food a lot. The whole bread thing and pizza thing happened, and it's like, let's stick to what you know. Food.
Not games.
Yeah, not games. So that's coming up very soon. Episode 1 of that. I think it's about, I can actually check, it's literally on my desktop. I think it's 30 odd minutes long.
Yeah.
It's 37 minutes long. Woo, look at that. Wow.
We can talk.
God, we know how to talk. A lot of bollocks. And that's a food-based podcast called The Chopping Board. That's Patreon exclusive. So go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek if you want to find out more about the tiers and all that sort of stuff, which we are probably due to update them a little bit and have a look at them. If you are a Patreon, thank you very much for listening early, and I hope you enjoy that food-related podcast. If you're not, go and have a look. Patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. That's all the pimping I'll do. You can subscribe to this podcast on YouTube as well, where we do a video version. We do it live, and you can ask questions in the chat, like Martin did on this very episode. Seamless. And other than that, just search up the name of the site. You'll find us. Go check out all the great work on there, all the news, previews, reviews, guides, podcasts. Anything I've forgotten? There's a good release date list on there that I would like to update. It's my little project, so I enjoy that. Other than that, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Lyle.
Thank you.
And everybody else, we'll see you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.